She slept with him after one date. No fancy dinner, no flowers, no long emotional backstory. He didn't beg. He didn't prove anything. He didn't play games. So why did she do it? Because it wasn't about what he said. It wasn't about what he did. It wasn't about him. It was about what she felt in his presence, something most people will never understand, and even fewer will ever learn how to create. It wasn't his money. It wasn't his looks. It wasn't status. It was something far more dangerous. He created a psychological environment that triggered her instinct to surrender. Not out of lust, out of emotional tension so powerful, it overrode logic. That's why it happened. She slept with what he represented, not who he was. And if you think it was luck or a fluke, you're about to find out what really pulled her in and why this energy will always outperform effort, charm, or fake masculinity. Let's break open the real psychology behind why some people wait months while others get the deepest access in one night. It's not magic, it's psychology, it's energy, it's control. And once you see it, you'll never be confused again. Number 1. The myth of waiting. You've been lied to. You were taught that intimacy is earned through time, that the more you wait, the more you invest, the more dates you go on, the more worthy you become of her attention. Wrong. Waiting doesn't create attraction. Energy does. Emotional experience does. The truth is simple and brutal. If she's into you, she knows it almost instantly. Not after 3 months, not after meeting your family, not after you prove you're a nice guy. In fact, the longer you try to prove you're worthy, the less worthy you become. Because chasing kills polarity. Validation kills tension. Time doesn't build attraction. It tests it. And most people fail that test. They become predictable. They become too available. They become boring. That's why so many get stuck in the long game. They're not building interest. They're slowly murdering it. Why do some get it on the first date? Because the emotional tension is present immediately. He didn't try to earn her. He gave her an emotional experience that bypassed her logic. And that experience was this. I don't need anything from you, but you're going to want everything from me. That's the opposite of what most people are doing. They wait, they ask, they give and hope, they negotiate. They beg for validation disguised as being respectful. But the ones who win fast, they don't ask, they don't wait. They anchor their presence and let her instinct do the work. She isn't opening up because you're nice. She isn't holding out because she needs more time. She's doing what her emotional tension tells her to do. If that tension is weak, she makes you wait. If that tension is strong, she surrenders without delay. That's the game. That's the truth. And if you don't understand it, you'll spend your life thinking intimacy is a reward for effort, instead of what it really is, a reaction to your energy. Number 2, emotional dominance over physical status. You think she slept with him because he was tall? Because he had money? Because he had abs? No, that's the illusion. Attraction isn't physical first, it's emotional. It's energetic. It's psychological dominance. She's not drawn to his body. She's drawn to how she feels in his presence. She slept with the way he looked at her without hesitation. She slept with the silence between his words, the calm that couldn't be faked. She slept with the tension that built without trying. This is what most people never learn. Women don't open up to bodies. They open up to energy. If your presence gives her space to feel safe and challenged at the same time, her guard drops, whether it's day 1 or day 30. It's not about confidence, it's about containment. You contain the moment. You don't spill emotion. You don't seek reassurance. You don't rush. Your calm becomes louder than words. Your body becomes the silence that pulls her closer. She doesn't consciously think, "This guy's a leader. This guy's in control." She just feels it. Her nervous system registers it before her brain does. And that feeling, the emotional dominance of being in the presence of someone who doesn't flinch, that's what opens her. While most people try to impress, he remains still. While others talk endlessly, he holds the silence. While others try to entertain, he observes and says only what sharpens the connection. That's dominance, not the loud, performative kind, the calm, grounded kind that creates mystery and safety at the same time. She isn't turned on by looks. She's turned on by being seen without being judged, by being desired without being chased, by being led without being overpowered. He offered that, and she gave herself, because it felt like freedom. Not because he begged, not because he flashed anything, but because his emotional dominance triggered instinct, not negotiation. This is the new understanding. Status fades, looks fade. But energy is felt, remembered, and acted on fast. Number 3. Stoic frame. The calm that creates chaos in her mind. She's used to men reacting. She's used to men trying. She's used to noise, approval, and performance. But what happens when she meets someone who doesn't flinch? Someone who doesn't try to entertain her? Someone who doesn't fill the silence with nervous jokes? Someone who doesn't rush to agree? He holds frame, and suddenly she can't stop thinking about him. Why? Because in a world of chaos, the person who remains calm becomes magnetic. That's the Stoic frame. You're not here to impress. You're not here to prove. You're here to observe, to lead, to remain unchanged by her tests, emotions, or beauty. And that's what she craves more than anything. A presence that doesn't bend to her energy, but anchors her in yours. He didn't need to talk about himself. He didn't try to be deep. He didn't overextend. He just sat in his power, and that shook her, because she couldn't figure him out. He wasn't chasing. He wasn't pulling away. He was just there. And there is exactly where tension grows. Not in chaos, not in force, but in containment. Most people try to seduce by being more. But what creates attraction fast is being less reactive. She's not addicted to attention. She's addicted to presence that doesn't apologize for existing. And when she meets that, her nervous system relaxes for the first time in a long time. She stops performing. She starts revealing. She begins to crave what she doesn't understand. And that craving? It doesn't come from words. It comes from energy that doesn't shift just because she enters the room. That's why he got her. Not because he chased her, but because she couldn't shake him. Not because he begged for her interest, but because he owned every second of the date like time itself bowed to his pace. She surrendered to the one thing she's been trained to test for, but rarely finds. A man who needs nothing and still has everything. That's Stoic frame. That's psychological power. And it's the invisible reason why she chose intimacy after one date. Not out of logic, out of instinct. Number 4, the mirror effect. She slept with her own fantasy. Here's what nobody wants to say. She didn't sleep with him. She slept with the version of herself she felt when she was with him. That's the mirror effect. He didn't try to become her fantasy. He became the mirror of everything she secretly wished she could be around. Calm, powerful, centered, unbothered, focused, grounded. He didn't speak in hopes of connecting. He created space for her to see herself differently in his presence. And what did she see? a version of herself that felt safe and feminine again, a version that could let go of control, that didn't have to lead, that didn't have to think about her next move, her next defense, her next strategy. With him, she got to feel something rare, freedom from control, not because he told her what to do, but because he radiated a strength that allowed her to stop performing. She fell in love with how she felt. And he never had to say a word about it. The people who get fast intimacy aren't the ones who push harder. They're the ones who trigger emotional clarity. Her body said yes, because her nervous system finally said, "This feels like safety and tension at the same time." It's not about seduction. It's about being a mirror so clean she sees who she wishes she could be. And that's where desire lives. Not in appearance, not in charm, but in the emotional clarity of, when I'm around you, I feel more me. That's why she opened up. Not because he asked, because he didn't need her. That absence of need reflected her deepest craving. To finally surrender without losing herself. He mirrored that. He gave her permission to be without pressure, to feel without judgment, to express without being studied. And when a woman experiences that, she doesn't wait 3 months. She doesn't need convincing. Because what she felt wasn't him. It was her fantasy activated. And the truth is brutal. She slept with the way he made her feel about herself, not just who he was. So if you want to know how to create fast, deep attraction, don't perform. Don't overtalk. Don't sell. Reflect her fantasy. Own your silence and protect your presence like a vault. She doesn't crave you. She craves the version of herself she gets to be when she's near your energy. Number 5. Why most people will never access this power. Here's the harsh truth. Most people will never experience this kind of attraction. Not because they aren't good enough, not because they're unattractive, not because they don't try, but because they can't sit still. They can't hold silence. They can't detach from outcome. They can't stop chasing. They're addicted to seeking, not becoming. You want to know why 99% never unlock the energy that pulls someone in, deeply, quickly, without force? Because they refuse to be uncomfortable. They can't sit across from someone and not try to fill the air. They can't let tension build without nervously diffusing it. They can't detach from their need to be liked. So they compensate. They talk too much. They overshare. They brag, joke, flex, or validate. All to avoid the one thing that actually builds tension: stillness. Because stillness is where you're exposed. Stillness is where your energy speaks louder than your words. Stillness is where she decides if you're real or another mask. Most people lose right there. Not because they're unworthy, but because they're uncomfortable with who they are when they stop performing. This is why they never tap into fast attraction. They're not repelling. They're just never anchoring. They chase what can't be forced. And they dilute what could have been magnetic. The ones who win? They don't need to be the loudest. They're the most centered. They don't need to impress, because their stillness does what volume never could. They understand that tension is a gift, not a threat. And they've trained themselves to hold it, to protect it, to let her come to them, not out of manipulation, but because she can't not be drawn in. That's the power 99% miss, because they're busy chasing attention instead of mastering presence. But you're not here to chase. You're here to become. You're here to train your nervous system to be so grounded, so unshakable, that people feel it before you speak. That's when she leans in. That's when she opens. That's when she gives, quickly, deeply, without asking why. And it's not because you tricked her, It's because you stopped tricking yourself into thinking effort is more powerful than energy. Number 6. Focus on energetic polarity. She didn't give herself to him because he was clever. She didn't surrender because he played it cool. She gave herself because he anchored his masculine polarity like a mountain. And her body, her energy, responded. Attraction isn't a decision, it's a reaction to energetic contrast. Masculine polarity is that force. It's calm when she's emotional. It's rooted when she's chaotic. It's focused when she's testing. She felt masculine leadership in silence. She felt emotional safety without softness. She felt power that didn't need to posture. And her feminine instinct, her core that wants to soften, feel, flow, express, be held, could finally breathe. Not because he chased, but because he led energetically. Most people try to imitate that. They mimic what confidence looks like. But she can feel when it's fake. You can't fake groundedness. You can't fake polarity. You either are it, or you collapse the second she throws her first test. Polarity is born when you are so sure of who you are, so unmoved by external approval, so still in your internal power, that she stops thinking and just feels. That's what happened. That's why she gave herself after one date. Not because he begged, not because he played a script, but because she felt polarized. She felt the magnetic pull of a grounded masculine energy. And her feminine energy surrendered the moment she felt safe to stop controlling. This is why seduction isn't about tricks. It's not about strategy. It's about becoming so clear in your identity, so focused in your energy, so free of need, that she lets go of hers. When you embody polarity, you don't pull, you attract, not through words, through energetic clarity. And in one night, she felt it. Not because he did anything, but because he was everything she didn't even know she needed. She slept with him after one date, because he wasn't chasing what most chase. He wasn't proving, he wasn't pleasing, he wasn't performing. He was centered, he was clear. He was calm in a way that created chaos inside her. She gave herself because he gave her an experience no one else could. Emotional tension without pressure, presence without need, leadership without control. He made her feel feminine again, not because he asked her to, but because his masculine energy didn't need her validation to exist. That's the truth nobody wants to say. Attraction isn't a formula. It's not earned like a paycheck. It's triggered through energy, through stillness, through polarity. So while others spend weeks proving, buying, begging, the ones who understand this, they walk into a room, say less, and change everything. This is your call to become that person, to stop living in performance and start existing in pure, unshakable presence. Because when your energy is clean, grounded, and untouchable, you don't chase intimacy. It comes to you. Subscribe right now if you're ready to master energy, presence, and silent dominance that changes the entire room. Comment below. What was the one line, moment, or truth that hit hardest and made you rethink everything? Share this video with someone who's still chasing with logic and show them the power of polarity, not performance. Support the channel if you want more content that breaks illusions, unlocks psychology, and delivers straight value with no filter. When you support, you help us reach people still lost in overthinking, begging, and wondering why they're always waiting, while others get what they want in one night. This isn't about games. This is about energy. Control yours, and everything else begins to orbit around you.